Since I was about 13 years old, I'd get up in the mornings and go for a run, go and do exercise as simple as push-ups and pull-ups and chin-ups. And I ended up, being that kid that every team where I lived wanted me to be a part of. And it sort of just made me feel great because I grew up with nothing. I just wanted to be a professional athlete.
So, did you make it?
Yes, I did make it to a certain extent. I, made the Auckland Warriors. I was training under John Money. He was a really excellent coach from England, and then we had a trial versus the Illawarra Steelers. They saw my potential in the trials and said, mate, why don't you come over to Australia?
At 17?
Yeah, at 17. And I said, yeah, I'll give it a crack. Went over on my own and just said, you know what, I'm just going to try and crack the sport over here and give it a crack. And I, ended up playing for the Illawarra Steelers.
So as a junior with the Illawarra Steelers?
Yep.
Into Manly?
Moved from Wollongong up to Sydney, and I thought I'd, had a trial with them. Everything was going great and fine, and then my ego took the better of me.
Well, you are only 18 or 19 at this stage,
18
come
or
on.
19, yeah. And I said to him, I regret it now. I said to him, mate, I should be a first grader. I'm a first grade footballer, and it's either put me in first grade or I'm leaving or moving on to another club. And he goes, mate, do you know who's in front of you, who's up? And I said, I don't care who it is.
So you decided to tell the coach that you were the best?
Yes.
Took you and your ego and?
Yep. New South Wales Rugby Union got wind of me being available as a player, and so I said, why not? Because I wasn't going to be playing A grade for Manly. I ended up signing with New South Wales Rugby Union, I think maybe 99 to 2004. So I was with New South Wales 21s, then I went on to play for New South Wales A, and then obviously full contracted to the Waratahs in 2000. Since I was 16 years old to 20 something by then, my body was run down, and I knew it, the doctors knew it, and I just thought, you know what, I've had enough. I thought I had had enough of football because it became not enjoyable anymore. I just didn't like turning up to training anymore and playing football anymore. The fun was gone, and so I just said, you know what, I'm just going to finish up here. And I did that for 18 months, and I rang my agent, my player agent, and he goes, oh mate, I didn't think you were, playing anymore. I said, no, I'm not. But the thing is, I think I've found, I want to be back. I want to play football again. And and he said, mate, you rang me at the right time. I've got a contract for you, and he sent me to Japan. The thing that I found hard was I wasn't able to take my kids and family over to Japan. The isolation.
No support system.
No support system.
Nobody to come home and go, honey, I've had a shocker.
Yeah, you can't even
go and have a beer.
And you can't even watch the TV because it's all in Japanese. They, the second year, they said, would you come back? I said, no, I think it's time to really hang up the boots and go and figure out a career after football.
Yep.
Yeah. Which
led to?
Becoming a personal trainer, getting my certifications sorted. But then, I don't know, I still felt like there was something, there's something needed to happen, because I've just been an athlete all my life, and I always wanted the challenges and so forth. And
the drive, the
training,
drive,
the training.
Euphoria.
I needed something. I needed a goal. I didn't want to just be in the gym for the sake of being in the gym. So I needed somewhere to go and somewhere to head. And a friend of mine, Darren Coleman, sent me a message on Facebook and said, oh, there's a TV show coming out. It's called Winter Warrior, and it takes everyday people and turns them into MMA fighters or mixed martial arts fighters. I fought in there as an amateur, but I went straight into professional fighting. As soon as that show finished, the coach said, mate, you've got what it takes. I reckon you could go all right. And I said, yeah, I reckon too. I don't mind it. I think it's enjoyable training. I'm enjoying it.
Who says stick me in a cage and let somebody fight with me?
Yeah, I know. I'm not that person, but apparently I was good at it. I was good at what I did. And but yeah, that was my MMA experience. They wanted me to fight on again next year and contract me to another 5 fights, and I turned it down. Yeah, so after the MMA, I ended up doing bodybuilding. my first competition, I think it was Sydney Super Bodies, and I got some really good placings. I got fourth, third, but I didn't get first. So I was pretty disappointed. Yeah, I was pretty disappointed that I didn't get a first. So put in a plan, put on some size. I wanted to be the best bodybuilder in Australia, natural bodybuilder in Australia. It didn't come to that, and yeah, so I made up my mind and said, you know what, I don't know if this is for me. January this year, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do now that I'm not bodybuilding? I just turned 40, and when I turned 40, something switched with me. I just thought, far out, there's not many athletes out there that are 40 years old. Like, I just thought, far out, where do I go? What direction do I head from now? And I couldn't even come up with a sport I could compete in that it was worthwhile for me to do. And I still had a great job. I was working with the Waratahs, St. Pius, but where I wanted to head with my goals, there was nothing there, and I think it hit me quite hard, quite heavy.
So you lost Francis the athlete?
Yeah, I did. I think he was starting to disappear, and I think he's starting to fade away, and I'm trying to move forward, and I think it took its toll. This year I've had some ups and downs with coping from me being an athlete and finally throwing in the towel. I thought I'd thrown in the towel so many times, but I've always found a way to bring myself back up. But this time I think it's done, and now I actually do realise that it is over. And that's the hardest part to deal with, is knowing that you no longer are Francis Cullimore the athlete.
But in all seriousness, changing direction in your life when you have a family and you haven't had an amazing journey, who did you go to seek help?
I went out with my friends, started drinking. That wasn't doing anything. I thought drinking would do it.
For a brief period of time.
Yeah, for a brief period it was fun.
And then you feel really bad after.
That wasn't doing it. I don't know, I was lost. I actually was lost with what I could do, and then a guy that I played footy the same time that I was playing football with, Dan Vickerman, he passed away, and it was to do with depression. And I thought to myself, maybe I'm one of those guys that have had depression, I hadn't really had it evaluated. And so what I did was I drove to my sister's one day, and I was sitting in the car and I was going, what's the point of being around if no one's there, and I haven't got a direction of where I'm heading, and I'm not that athlete guy that people look up to or inspire anymore. And I was like, man, I was done. I just didn't want to be around. I didn't want to do anything. And then I was sitting in the car. I remember I was sitting in the car, and I think the doctors told me I had a panic attack. I thought I was having a heart attack. My heart was pumping, my chest was tight. I started crying for no reason, and I was sitting there just going, what the hell's going on? And I remember what happened with Dan. And I grabbed the phone and I punched in the details of a helpline from Facebook.
Yep.
And I got on the phone with this lady. I can't even remember her name, but she was great. And she rang me up and she said, who's in the house? And I said, oh, it's my sister. And she goes, just tell her to get in the car and drive yourself to a hospital and just get yourself checked. And it's the first thing I did, because I was freaking out. Like I was panicking. I've never had.
That's not normal behaviour.
That's not normal behaviour. No. So I took myself to the hospital. I checked into North Shore Hospital. They ran tests over me, and they told me I was having a panic attack. I thought I was having a heart attack, and I ended up in there for a week. They put me into HDU, which is a high dependency unit. They put me on a social media ban, no training, no exercise, changed my diet back to what they think I should be eating, because I was still dieting like an athlete. Probably wasn't getting enough nutrition. I was overtraining. There was a combination of things, and after they evaluated me through what I'd been through, I had a lot of childhood trauma. I had, a lot of things happen to me, a lot of concussions in football, a lot of brain injuries, and just they're all stacked on top of each other. And you know, I remember one of the doctors saying the amount of childhood traumas that I had been through, and knockouts and concussions, and through my life of what I've done. He goes, mate, you've done well to make it this far in your life. And I was like, whoa, no, that really hit home. And then they said, mate, we're going to evaluate you for depression, stress, anxiety, and all these different symptoms like ADHD, like everything. They're going to just cross the board. And in the end, I can't say it was just depression, but it was depression. And yeah.
Which is more than feeling sad.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
sad is a very natural feeling.
Yeah, sad's natural.
What does it feel like beyond sad though?
Well, it's hard because you're in a position where you just feel like you're stuck in a rut that you just can't get out of, and you don't know. It's like, say there's a dark room and you can't find the door to get out, and that's what it feels like. And and on top of anxiety, I had anxiety, like, as well as stress had built up. So it was a combination of the three. They said those three things come in sync. Whenever you've got depression, there's usually anxiety and stress related, and it all comes in one. And I had depression since I was 5 years old, when my mum and dad split up, and then my dad died, and then everything that happened there from there on in through my life, I just dealt with it however I could.
What would you suggest for people who are in that black room and can't find the door?
Yeah, I think the first thing you've got to try and do is try and get out and get active, because you don't want to be straight into, oh hey, let's just medicate and fix. It doesn't work like that. You've got to, you know, exercise is always going to promote, you know, a healthy lifestyle, and then it all starts to combine and help. And if that doesn't work, then you need to maybe go and see somebody, and make sure you've got the support network around you to help you out, because there is tough times. Everyone on this planet has tough days, tough times. And I think try those things first, and if they don't work, maybe go and seek some advice from a professional, and just see what they say, and then go from there.
You mentioned that the doctors and you worked out that when your parents split and your father passed away, that was a really significant time in the depression kind of cycle.
Yep.
What did you feel like when you were a kid? Were there times when you just didn't know what was wrong?
Yeah, well, those were pretty big parts of my life. What happened is, when my mum and dad had split, she moved to New Zealand, my dad passed away. My mother said that she wanted us. And what hurt me the most is that she only wanted us because of the amount of money that my dad would get insurance-wise. So her way of getting us back was to get us back and say she's the mother, she's our carer, and along came the money as well. And as soon as I got there, I got sent straight to a boarding school. My sisters and I were all split up and sent into different aunties and nanas and all different homes, and she was living with her young boyfriend, living the life. Well, we were just everywhere. I remember at times I was looking after my sister. I was 13, like, you know, trying to train and get a career started. She was 4 years younger than me, and I remember looking after her for 3 months on my own as a 13-year-old, like not knowing when our next meal's going to be there, and we're alone. My sister's got a boyfriend, my brother's in a gang somewhere with, you know, a New Zealand gang. He does his own thing. So I'm stuck in this house as a 13-year-old trying to raise my sister. And yeah, I just felt like I was abandoned, and abandonment came in to play when the doctors evaluated me. So that's another trigger of depression that I was trying to cover up.
And the drive and the passion and the training,
yeah,
while authentic to your personality,
yeah,
was it a function to be able to help you to cope?
Yeah, it definitely helped me to cope. It sort of gave me a direction of, I don't want to be nothing like that. I want to be my own person, and I'm going to drive to get myself where I need to be. And my sister, my eldest sister, she was very supportive, and my younger sister, she was so young, but we all wanted to sort of stick together. And as soon as I moved to Australia, they sort of followed me.
It's an amazing thing that hardship has brought you together and has formed bonds and giving you that support. Japan, you're away from it and it didn't fit. So coming back and just, having that family support.
It plays a big role, I think, that family support behind you. You know, if you haven't got that network of people, you've got to try and source it somewhere, because support's massive. You can't ever be isolated and on your own. You need to branch out and just ask for help wherever you can get it. And you know, if you've got that family, bring them into the circle and just use them to your advantage to help you out, so that you know you never get caught out in a position where you know the depression catches up on you.
And be that person that if somebody is asking for support, yeah mate, I'm here for you.
Definitely.
Whatever you need, let's get through this together.
Definitely.
You mentioned earlier that Francis Cullimore, the athlete, was inspiring and people can look up to you. Can I say, Francis, coming out and telling people about depression and anxiety is inspiring, because it lets the rest of us know that even when everything looks rosy, actually real people, heartbeats, have real issues the same as everybody else. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for being here. I'm really happy that I you know, spoke up about you know things that have happened in my life, and now about depression. And I hope, you know, hopefully this can get out there, and I really want to be an advocate, you know, to try and help people with troubles with depression, anxiety and stress, and just try and get that across to everyone that it's okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.